This is the Meat and Potato Sports Show. Thanks for listening. So this is the 5th episode of the show. That's right, number 5. And essentially the format of the show, as you probably know by now, is a weekly format where we recap the best sports stories of the week and keep you up to date on the sports world and its goings on. Is that how you say that? Goings on? Goings on. Regardless, for example, today we're going to cover topics that occurred on the week of March 12th, 2018. All right, let's jump right into it. And just to be completely upfront, this show might be slightly shorter than usual for a couple reasons. One of them is to be completely straight up. Once again, life has kind of caught up with us and a little bit behind somewhat in terms of what we should be in on and covering, kind of creeping into where we should be producing next week's show. And the second reason is simply that a lot of the events of this week, or so-called events, are really just roster changes and moves that teams made in the offseason of the NFL. So we'll kind of play it by ear. If it does end up being the normal length, awesome, and we're really happy about that. But if it doesn't, we just want to be honest up front and, yeah, kind of make sure we're all on the same page here. So, okay, let's jump right into it. First story of the week, and this happened over the weekend of the last week and was covered everywhere on Monday. You probably have already heard about it through Facebook or Twitter or something, but Odell Beckham found himself in some hot water, shall we say. He posted a video or a short on Instagram, an Instagram story, and he was with a woman in a hotel room. So let's just kind of step back and give you the exact facts of what we saw ourselves in the video without any speculation. We saw Odell Beckham in a room with a woman, and I believe he was in Europe somewhere, France, or I believe he was in France, and there was marijuana in the room, and on a credit card there appeared to be a white powdery substance. So you make of that what you will. And the pizza, a brand new pizza uneaten sitting in the middle of the bed. It's kind of weird. I mean, I guess that loud wasn't that loud, or else that pizza would have been gone. So what are you doing, Odell? Step your game up, my brother. Come on, man. So whatever. The point is, there's been a lot of speculation on what that, what that substance was in that room and what Odell's been up to this offseason. So I don't want to get into that speculation game. I feel that's cheap. So, like I said, you make of it what you will. I've equipped you to make the judgment that you want and see the video for yourselves to further equip yourselves with the facts of the situation. So that's that. I mean, I don't really know what else to say about it. Like I said, everyone was talking about it forever and ever, and it should be a big story, but everyone makes mistakes. Is kind of how I look at it. It's the off season. It's not like they have a playoff game this week or whatever, or even a regular game, or even practice. So it's in the off season. He's, now I don't condone the things that he was doing or what have you. What I'm saying is it's not as big of an issue as it could have been. But, obviously on that same token, the New York Giants don't like it at all, and rightfully so, obviously, and this may cost him that big contract that he hopes to obtain in the near future. And I know one of his goals was to be the highest paid player in the NFL on any position. And I don't know if that's really in the cards anymore for the young man, unfortunately. So, yeah, like I said, you make of it what you will. Another one. That means on to the next one. We got Richard Sherman, listen to this, who signed with the San Francisco 49ers, the Niners, on a 3-year deal, and he was quoted as saying, "I'm vengeful in that way." So you make of that what you will. I mean, obviously the 49ers are no friends of the Seahawks, so I don't know if that was 100% intentional and that was the first thing that came to his mind, or if it was kind of a best of both worlds thing, and he kind of thought, hey, I can make a nice little deal here, a nice little salary, and kind of stick it to my old team at the same time. So, yeah. I mean, unless you talk to him, I don't know how you get that information. Okay, next one. So we got Mayweather, who it's been out in news outlets, sports outlets, that he's going to be training with Tyron Woodley to get ready for the MMA. I know. Kind of crazy, right? I mean, this poor guy, I just can't. Best defensive fighter of all time. Yes. Best boxer of all time in his weight class. Maybe. You could make a really good argument for that, I feel like. So, even with that into account, I can't get this image out of my head of this poor guy stepping into an octagon and just getting his head kicked off. I mean, literally. His head, boom, a foot, head kicked off onto the canvas. I don't know. That's just me. It's really hard for me to get that image out of my head. And I don't know what to do about that. Because I'm not going to lie. I want to see this fight go down. I do. And when I say this fight, I mean any fight in the MMA, namely at some point Conor McGregor. Now, I don't feel like his first fight in the octagon will be against Conor McGregor. I really can't see the UFC being that negligent to allow that, unless there was some kind of caveat where, like, you know, Conor had to have one hand tied behind his back and could only stand on one leg the entire fight and could only slap Mayweather. You know, it'd have to be something ridiculous. So, I don't know. But the point is, I think it would be cool to see him in there. I just don't want the guy to get his head kicked off. It's a small head, and he doesn't deserve that. You know, for all his boistery blusterations, he does seem like a nice guy at the end of the day. The next one. So we got the Browns. Let's check this one out. The Browns trade their QB, Deshaun Kaiser, and they receive Tyrod Taylor and Jarvis Landry. So kind of an interesting trade. I don't know what was going on there with the Bills. I mean, obviously Tyrod hasn't performed like they would like, but I mean, to give him away for Kaiser, I know Kaiser's young, and I guess maybe they just see something in him that the Browns didn't see, and to be quite honest, the rest of us. So, hey, we wish him the best though, going to the Bills, and hopefully that works out well. Now, it is kind of interesting because everyone was thinking, myself included, the Browns would be in this kind of draft-o-rama 2018 here and go for one of those quarterback talents in the first few rounds of this draft this year. So maybe they still will. I doubt it, but I don't know. Listen, I think for the Browns, it's as simple as they're tired of being in building years for the last 4 decades. But I mean seriously, they want to win now, and they don't want to wait. Is kind of how I see that move, and then making a statement about those intentions. So, on to the next. So, we have the NCAA playoffs. So, okay. There were a bunch of teams who didn't make it, and that was another main story of the week. You have USC, OKST, that's Oklahoma State University. You have Louisville. Those teams did not make it into the tourney, and a lot of people were pissed about it. Now, listen to this. Here's an interesting little trivia fact. All of those teams were all teams that were named in some way or another in the FBI probe about, you know, corruption in the NCAA universities and stuff. That story we covered on last week's show. So, yeah, kind of interesting, isn't it? You would have to think it played into the decision in some way or another. I mean, they were kind of border teams, and I think that played into the decision to kind of push them over the edge of the cliff, so to speak, in terms of not making the March Madness tournament. So, yeah, make of that what you will. All right, on to the next. We have Kirk Cousins. Kirk Cousins. That's right. You're asking where did he go? You've probably heard by now, but in case you haven't, the Vikings. Looks like he's going to be a Viking. He signed with the Vikings a 3-year deal for $84 million. So a nice little chunk of change, old Kirky, or as he was once called, Kurt, as he was once known by an owner incorrectly. That had to have been embarrassing. But nonetheless, he has been signed to the Vikings for $84 million over 3 years. That is a hefty salary. I gotta say, good for him, you know? Anyway, all right, let's keep this train moving. We gotta run a good pace. So, okay, the Patriots made a lot of moves this week. So get ready for this. Brace yourselves, Patriots fans. They released quite a few players who had key roles this last season. Are you ready? Are you sitting down? Okay. They released Butler, Amendola, and Solder. So, yeah, I mean, I don't know. I understand they didn't have a choice, obviously. I'm sure Danny Amendola wanted a good chunk of change after these seasons where he's really performed big in the playoffs and come up really big in big moments where he had to. So I'm sure, he wanted to be paid what he was worth. And as you know, the Patriots, they're not afraid to release players because it's all about the system. So they're not afraid to plug someone else into that system. Were they grateful for everything he did? Yeah, of course they were. But with that being said, they're not afraid to replace him with someone cheaper that they can plug into their system and make it work. So, yeah, so like I said, Butler got released. He's going to the Titans, Malcolm Butler. And that's, not a shocker, obviously. His contract was up this year, as we all know. And after that whole fiasco that happened in the Super Bowl where he got benched, and why was he benched, and we don't know why he was benched, and why am I benched, and bench. I think we all kind of saw that one coming from a mile away, that he would no longer be with the team starting 2019. So, I don't know, no shocker there. But Danny Amendola, I just explained why he, unfortunately had to part ways and was released. He's going to the Dolphins. And now Solder, I'm not sure where he's going, but it's kind of a scary thought that Tom Brady lost the number one person protecting his blind side. So hopefully they can plug someone else into that spot that'll protect his blind side just as well, because we all know how important that is. So yeah, it'll be interesting to see what happens with that. But on a more positive note, the Patriots did sign Jason McCourty via trade with the Browns. And so, yeah, he'll be able to play with, I believe it is his brother, who's also on the team. So, yeah, kind of cool there. Cool little story there. And then on to the next one. Next story, we got the Cowboys, who released Orlando Scandrick. As a Cowboys fan, I was kind of bummed to see this because Scandrick's a really great corner. But, I think this is kind of the Cowboys' way of saying they're pushing their chips in, so to speak, on these young corners they have who seem to have a lot of talent and potential and promise in their futures. So I think that's kind of what that signaled. And, all the best to Mr. Scandrick. And the next I had as a story to kind of cover as a Cowboys fan, and I'm sure a lot of people feel the same way. So what's going on? Are we not going to sign a wide receiver? I mean, that's like the one piece we're missing, the most important piece we're missing. Are we just not going to sign a wide receiver? Kind of curious about it. Kind of curious what's going on. I know we don't have any cap room. Okay, before I'm screamed at, EB, they don't have any cap room. I know, but there's things that can be done about that. They need to either release Dez. Sorry, somebody has to say it. Or they need to renegotiate his contract and kind of free up some space and get them some more weapons for Dak. Because if we're going to pile on Dak and blame it all on his performance last season, which I don't think is fair, then he needs weapons to make that argument have some legs. Because he really had nobody to throw to last season. I don't care what anyone says. You had Dez, who was a shell of himself, and the receivers, who did show promise, they didn't get any playing time because they're paying Dez so much freaking money that they feel like they have to let him play. Not to mention the temper tantrums he throws. So all around, I feel like something has to be done about Dez. It's kind of dealer's choice what should be done or what will be done about him, but that does have to be addressed in this offseason, and I really hope they do. All right, that's enough about that. My Cowboy brain will explode if we touch on that any longer. So moving on to the next, we got some NCAA college basketball updates to touch on. So we got UMBC defeated Virginia. And that was the 16th seed versus a number 1 seed. So that's a big, big upset. Make of that what you will. And I think what's kind of going on, and there's a lot of people talking about it in these college games, is, as expected, the teams with the most seniors and older players are the ones that are kind of dominating these games and just overall college basketball, which is kind of to be expected, and why so many people are arguing against amateurism. I'm not even going to begin to get into that now, but I just kind of wanted to give you kind of a peek into what's going on with these games. So, yeah, experience is winning. Age is winning, I guess, rather, which comes with experience, obviously. Next, we had Villanova, number 1 seed, blew out Alabama, which was a number 9 seed, and they're going to advance to the Sweet 16. The Nova margin of victory, 24.5, which is the highest in the tourney for Villanova. So, obviously, what that indicates is how strong Villanova is going into the Sweet 16 and most likely the finals. And credit to, I believe it was FS1 for that Nova little Nova stat. Credit to FS1 for that. So, yeah, looks like we're going to be seeing Villanova in the finals, I guess is what I'm trying to say. And hopefully they're up against someone equally talented, so we're not in for a snooze fest of a game. On to the next. Michigan, 3rd seed, defeats Houston, the 6th seed. And that was a really cool game. I actually checked it out. I believe it was his name was Jordan Poole. Yeah, Jordan Poole was a buzzer beater. He hit a buzzer beater to advance them to the Sweet 16, baby. So yeah, Jordan Poole of Michigan hit that buzzer beater, won them the game, and on to the Sweet 16 they go. All right, so that wraps up the NCAA updates for the week, and on to the next and I believe final story for the week. My favorite, save the best for last. I couldn't wait to talk about it all weekend. So, Tiger Woods finished tied for 5th. That's right, tied for 5th. Another top 10 finish for old Tigger. And he bogeyed 16 and 17 in his final round, which is kind of surprising. Tied for 5th. He could have finished even higher, I guess is my point. And that was the Arnold Palmer Invitational at Bay Hill. He's familiar with that course and he likes that course. Yeah, I'll give you that. But still, a very respectable finish, tying for 5th. And so I'm here to come out officially and admit it. You can record this and remind me of it in the future if I'm wrong. I'm ready to say Tiger's back. I think he is, man. I think this shows all this solid play in the last few weeks he's played, every tournament he's played in with solid finishes. I think this shows that his spinal fusion surgery is fully healed. He's fully recovered. And if it's not full, he's above 80% healed and above 80% healthy. And he's back and he's ready to play, baby. I think now, maybe we won't see the exact Tiger in terms of competitive level and skill level that we saw before, but I think it'll be darn close. And if he, let's put it this way, if he stays on this pace that he's on right now, that's huge, and he will be dominating in no time at this rate if he stays at this pace. I mean, keep in mind, who else do you know could do that? Could come back after huge injuries like that, huge life issues he had to deal with. He comes back and he's making cuts. Well, first of all, making cuts is a huge feat to be in his exact position and make cuts. And then on top of that, he's racking up top 10 finishes just like that right after coming back with, like I said, health issues and life issues. Pretty remarkable stuff. You got to hand it to the guy, whether you love him or hate him. And I think we're in for a real treat in terms of Tiger, the tour, and his future in the future. So I would keep posted for that. And it's kind of funny to see the ratings and how they're already being affected by him coming back. I mean, how happy do you think the PGA is? And rightfully so. This is really good for the game. This is good for the PGA. This is good for the junior golfers. That is the golfers under 18 who play, in terms of inspiration and bringing the, quote, coolness back to the game. I hate myself right now for saying that, but you get my point. It's good all around, him having the success that he's having so quickly. And hopefully it's an indication of what's to come in the future. Now, he is looking really good in Vegas in terms of his odds in the Masters. I don't have an exact figure on that, but as we get closer, we'll update you on what those odds are and what his likelihood is of winning the Masters. If he wins the Masters, then I mean, like I've already committed to saying he's back, but if he wins the Masters, that kind of already proves my premise correct already, which is kind of funny. And maybe not that likely, but at the same time, I could see it happening. After watching him play and seeing how comfortable he looks out there, being completely frank, I could see him winning the Masters, and I can't even believe I'm saying it. It's insane. But at any rate, that's about all I have to say on that for now. And I also think this is a pretty good time to wrap it up for the week and for this show. Like I said, we'll be back next week. And thanks for listening. Thanks for watching. Please subscribe to the channel. Give the video a like and comment below on your thoughts. Maybe get some discussions going. We really appreciate when you do those things. It really helps us out more than you know. All right, well, I'm ready to sign off. Hope you guys have a great week. I am your host, EB, signing off.